Today, we kick off our Mad Scientist triple feature with Kevin Smith's Flippered Frankenstein Freak Show. Limbs are being hacked, sanity's being cracked, and a Justin Long horror movie character is once again poutine himself into a...
Shut up, Danny.
Oh, God. Okay.
So you did that.
It's so dumb. I hate myself so much.
Limbs are being hacked, sanity's being cracked, and a Justin Long horror movie character is once again poutine himself into harm's way as we travel deep into the Great White North to meet the lonely lunatic Howard Howe and his human walrus abomination in Tusk.
The box. You opened it. We came.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left.
Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some, angels to others.
Call you Meatloaf. Surprise, Sydney.
Come on, don't be chicken shit.
Welcome to How I Met Your Monster, the show where we discuss the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. Today we are kicking off a brand new triple feature called Mad Scientists. We really just went very obvious with this one. We didn't get creative with this triple feature title. It is all about mad scientists. And we are kicking it off today with a movie that is very near and dear to my heart. And I think we're going to find out that it is very far outside of Danny's whole...
Yeah, this movie was restricted. We have very few off-limit movies. We've done two of them.
This is a movie that Danny... This is a movie that Danny has refused to watch. And finally, I don't know what broke the barrier, but we got through to him and he decided to watch Tusk. And
I believe he made a bargain with you of some sort.
Yeah,
he did make a bargain.
A deal with the devil.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was a very good deal or it wasn't a very good deal because I don't remember what the other side
I don't even know what I got. Like that. Like I don't know what the stakes were. I don't know what the benefits were. I just. But I will say, just to be clear, it wasn't off the table because I wasn't into I love Kevin Smith. I love Justin Long. I love Michael Parks.
Yep.
It was more to do with I've mentioned this in the past is the thing that and maybe I need to just sidestep this because the whole point of our show is to talk about horror movies, is that this whole concept of losing autonomy is to me one of the most horrific things. I mean down to even this, I don't know if this counts as autonomy, but we've talked about in the past of just claustrophobia is one of my biggest fears and phobias. It just we were also talked about being stuck in a straitjacket. It's just that idea of I can't move, I can't do anything. All my faculties are sort of out of my control. So
yeah,
that's it. It has nothing to do with I love walruses too, by the way. It's also nothing to do with that.
Well, we are not taking this journey into the Great White North alone. We are joined today by a very special guest, Don Campbell, from across the pond. You are in London?
Well, I'm in Surrey, but
okay.
People from the US sort of clamber all of England into London, I think. But
sure.
I'm just not far from London.
Okay. Yes, and I am very much one of those stereotypical people from the US. I'm not like a MAGA guy. That's now we're fucking.
Zach is the ultimate American.
I am so scared. I am. I'm getting off track. I am so scared that people I have such a deep insecurity about other people in the world thinking that I am part of all of this stuff just because I live in America. And I'm like, please, I'm one of the good ones. I'm one of the good ones. All these billions of people in the world.
That's what the bad ones always say, Zach.
Oh my gosh, Don doesn't know
us,
guys. Don doesn't know us, and you can't give him this image of me.
I think that one of the biggest views that I get from the UK looking into the US isn't the good versus the bad or the left versus right. To me, it's how polarizing it seems. People seem to have to be all in one camp or all in another.
Sure.
We don't really get to hear the politically homeless, the people that are have joint respect for both sides.
Sure.
Yeah, the nuance.
That we only see the really far right and the really far left.
Gotcha. Yeah.
100%.
But we are also very much absorbed by American culture because most of our TV, most of our music comes from the US. So we also have a big connection there.
Yeah. God damn, I said last time that I wasn't going to talk about politics. I'm not going to fucking talk about politics.
Let's immediately kick off talking about politics. I mean, to be fair, the last Kevin Smith movie we did was was maybe the most political movie we've ever done.
Yeah, we did Red State. We did Red State. Yeah.
So we're like, it's also hard not to talk about it. You know, it's like
you're now a political podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. How I Met Your Monster, and the monster isn't as movie related as it used to be.
Yeah.
It's very real life.
But okay, I'm done with that. I'm done. I got it out of my system. We're moving on. Don, you are a horror author. Tell us a little bit about your books.
So I released my debut piece of work this year. It's a collection of short stories, horror stories. Each story in the collection is very different. I've designed them specifically to trigger different elements of people's fear. I've tried to make sure that there wasn't the same thing scaring you in each story, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was born by mistake. I was actually writing a novel and was taking a break from it and writing some silly stories just to distract my brain and let the novel breathe.
Sure.
But the collection of short stories grew quicker than the novel did, so that got released first.
Awesome. Awesome.
You followed your muse.
Yeah. What's the title? What's the title of your book?
So for my short story collection is Midnight Harvest. It's going to be a series. So this is volume 1. I'm already working on volume 2, but
awesome.
My brain thinks of ideas quicker than I can write. So short stories means I can move on to the next one quite quickly. But it also means that my character development is a little bit shallow in the short stories because you don't have time to explore it too much. So
can listeners purchase the book now? Can they read it anywhere?
Yep, so you can get it on Amazon. You can you can get it. I think it's next day on Amazon. There's also an audio. If you've got Audible, you can listen to it as an audiobook. I had an amazing audio talker narrator, an amazing narrator. Nick Johnson read the book, and he's an artist. He gave voice to what I was hearing when I was writing. Wow. So he's done a very good job of that.
That's gotta be so exciting to hear someone else bring your what was in your head to life.
Yeah, and I was dreading having to go back to him a lot and say that's not what that person sounds like. But I had very, very little input other than the words to the actual development of it. He just sort of knew exactly what I wanted and ran with it, which was amazing.
Well, that's a testament to your writing, though, because obviously what you put on the page, he was able to interpret correctly. So kudos.
Well, I really like you, Danny.
Hey, he's also I'm a writer. To gas people up. That's what I do.
I'll pay you later.
yeah, under the table. We're just you see me wink at him. Just we planned this. Just kidding. We did not plan this.
Awesome. Well, we will put a link to your book in our show notes so our listeners can check that out and purchase.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And speaking of show notes, if you are not subscribed to our show on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss fun episodes like Tusk. Like I said, this movie is so near and dear to my heart because just like Kevin Smith, I'm comparing myself to fucking Kevin Smith, who he thought he was done with filmmaking when he made this movie. So Red State was his last feature film in 2011, and he had sworn off filmmaking. He said he was done. And then on a podcast, Smodcast, famously number 259, The Walrus and the Carpenter. Him and Scott Mosier came up with this idea. Well, they read a classified ad that sparked an idea to say, hey, let's make this into a horror movie. And it reinvigorated his love of filmmaking, and he got back into the game. And going back to my comparison of that, I had grown up ever since I was very young with in the horror genre, and that was my go-to genre. I was all about horror movies. And then in 2005, it was right before college, so I was out of high school, and like Hostel came out, and it was all that torture porn stuff, and I was like, I'm just kind of like, I don't know if it was just like a point in my life where I was like maturing or something, but I was like, I'm done with this. Like, it's too gross.
What are you saying? Hostel's immature?
No.
Casey's she's gonna throw fists.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I was just like, I tuned out. And so it had been a long time. And then 2014, when Tusk came out, I don't know how I got wind of it, but I was super excited, and
Did you listen to the podcast first?
I didn't. No.
Okay, so you were found. I see.
I
so
found it.
You
like,
discovered it.
Yeah, it was before it came out. So like I was like, maybe it was like on Twitter or something with the whole Walrus yes, Walrus no thing.
Yeah.
And so I got really excited because I was a big Kevin Smith fan, and went to see it in the movie theater, and it just blew me away. I was so amazed, like, and just like, it was so fucking weird. Like when you see Walrus, when you see Wallace as a walrus for the first time, I was just like, my mind was fucking blown, and I loved it. And then I went and just jumped headfirst back into the horror genre, and here we are.
Not unlike Wallace.
Not unlike Wallace. So yeah, this movie is very special to me. Danny, I know you had some issues with it. Dawn, are you a fan of Tusk?
I enjoyed it. However, I didn't really find it scary.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I think that I'm definitely not a director of anything, but I think if they made the images once he was fully turned slightly more obscured, so you didn't get to see, like, the first image we got of him was a HD, crystal clear, great lighting,
Yeah.
man puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Where-
like full on right on the face.
Yeah, I think if they made it so you slowly got the image of him, it might have added to the mystique.
Sure.
But I remember the first time I watched it, and he just pops up on the screen,
Uh-huh.
and I almost spat out what I was drinking. Like, that's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
Had you never seen photos beforehand? You went in
no, I
completely
deliberately
blind?
went in blind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
So that classic image of the walrus with the crazy scientist draped
Mhm.
over him, sort of. I saw
Oh,
that
yeah.
after, but I hadn't seen the most I'd seen is the front cover, and it doesn't really give you anything. The
Yeah,
front cover, it's
Sure.
human heads and tusks, but
Yeah.
hmm
but the concept is very disturbing.
Oh,
Oh
totally.
yeah, for sure.
Now,
Yeah.
Danny, had you seen images, Danny, before you watched the movie?
Yes. Okay.
Oh,
yes. So
okay.
I had seen, there had been a lot of buildup, and I'm with Don in terms of the reveal and I mean, yeah, definitely constitutes as a horror movie. It leans more into like the body horror and the, like, it just being really disturbing and strange rather than being scary necessarily. And obviously that's subjective, but I also feel like this movie is not afraid to call itself a comedy too.
Mhm.
Sure.
I think the thing is we always say we're not here to criticize, so that is not what I'm doing. It's more about, I think, to explain my reservations about watching this movie came from the buildup,
Mhm.
kind of the anticipation. And it's like we always say, it's like, the shark in Jaws is scarier before you see it because you're imagining what this thing is and all that.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was different. I
knew
didn't
it.
realize what.
I knew it. I was watching it. I was like,
Yeah.
Danny thinks that this is going to be some like serious
Yes.
thing, and it's just
Yeah.
the corniest shit I've ever seen.
Yes. And I didn't know that he would become a walrus so soon, and that because I didn't listen to the podcast, and they spoil it in the podcast where it's like he becomes the walrus, and the rest of the movie is him and the Howard just kind of living together and doing their walrus human things. But I thought in my head, I was imagining scenes where I thought it would be a slower build, where one day Howard works on the hand, so maybe he has to contend with the fact that his hands have changed. And then one day, and it keeps heightening. And then one day he wakes up and his legs are sewn together. And maybe it's like he's trying to escape. And you're seeing, because they talk a lot about like humanity and losing humanity and what that means. And I thought we were going to see more of like a degradation of that rather than straight up just like full stop, like we're here, which is fine. Again, like this isn't a criticism. It's just, my brain, it took me a second to calibrate and be like, oh, that's what this is. Which I guess, because there are a lot of Kevin Smith even compares it to the Human Centipede. I guess that also, I'm talking about a movie I've never seen because I refuse to watch that movie. Which means I'm sure we're going to do it like next. Yeah. But like, I guess that one too is just sort of like also the shock value of you're safe. Oh no, look what we've turned you into. And now for the rest of the movie, we're going to kind of deal and contend with that. So yeah, just my own mind kind of working against me and building it up because Casey's right. It was not it's horrific, like in theory, but visually it's a gag. I mean, I don't mean that as a criticism. I think the idea is a gag.
It doesn't look real whatsoever.
No,
I think is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
I had a interesting thought, which is my brain tries to fill in plot holes. It's just what my brain's engineered to do from writing is to fill in slight plot holes. The one that I couldn't put away was that he became a walrus, and pretty effective for someone just bodging someone together to make them a walrus.
Yeah.
I wanted to know where they got the excess skin.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was from all the people they had killed before.
But weren't they in the water?
Yeah, you see the one guy in the water with like, I say guy, like he's had become a walrus.
He's a walrus.
And he had just didn't survive,
a walrus
I guess.
To you.
Don't misrepresent the walrus.
Good God. Howard Howe did not sit on that island and almost die and eat his walrus friend for you to mistake a walrus man for a man.
True. Yeah, I think there is some definite plot holes in it. I think Casey is right that it was like from the other people that he had tried, but I guess he didn't get very far, or like how did the skin stay like skin? Wouldn't it like dry out or something?
Become leather,
yeah.
Dry out.
Well, that's the thing is it's funny because I went into this movie not wanting to see the grotesque and like that, but as I'm watching it, like I would have loved to have seen more discovery, like maybe just a Wallace finds, like, first of all, spoiler alert, I love that scene when he finds the other dead walrus man or whatever it is, abomination at the bottom of the water.
Walrus.
I mean, oh my God, like that, like moments like that, like if he had found, I don't know, like wherever a serial killer might store and maintain skin, like something like that, like whatever his process is, like that's fascinating. Like how fucked up that would be to like find these little, maybe even before he gets, again, I'm doing what we're now going to create an alternate version of this movie in the same way that Kevin Smith created the movie on the podcast. But
which that, speaking of that, it is just so wild to me to listen to that episode of that podcast. And here in a minute, I'm going to read a little excerpt from the actual ad, but they get this ad on Gumtree. Now, Don, is that is Gumtree like a thing in the UK? Like an actual classified thing? Kind of like a Craigslist in the United States,
exactly
I guess.
That, yeah. It's like Craigslist, yeah.
So he read this ad, and, ultimately it turns out that the ad was a hoax. It was written by a guy named Chris Parkinson, who just like put it up there as a joke. But then on the episode, they just like, they read this and then they just like develop this movie in real time. And it's so fun to listen to that episode after you see the movie, because it's like, oh shit, like they literally did just like everything that they.
It's like they did no extra work.
Yeah. Yeah. But like the fact that they flesh out a movie like, oh, we could have this walrus guy and this, and then he goes in the enclave and then he does this. And it's just like the whole movie's laid out and they just like came up with it. And I just thought it's so fun.
It is interesting to hear Kevin Smith. You can see that he's been in this industry for a while, because you can see him mapping it out and being like, oh, well, this is where this has to happen. And what if we did this? I was like, whether you like Kevin Smith's movies or not, I have to say it was fun to get in, to be in the room where it happened, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Casey, tell us about your experience with Tusk.
I think I saw it when it was in theaters.
Okay.
And then I did not watch it again until this time around, but I basically remembered everything, because really, honestly, there's not much to this movie.
Yeah.
I don't have a feeling about it, to be honest.
Is it like
interesting?
You mean you're numbed by it?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Or morphines? Like,
I don't dislike it. I don't love it.
Okay.
I do, like, you know, if anything, obviously, like, I wish that it was more realistic, because I want to be actually like grossed out, you know?
Yeah.
I like a lot of weird movies. This movie is so fucking weird. Like, I was watching it and I was like, this might be one of the weirdest films to exist. It is so
Sure.
strange.
I was going to ask, do you think it's the weirdest one we've done on the show?
Everything about it it's fucking bonkers. Everything about it.
Yeah.
It's just so strange.
Yeah.
It's like knowingly like it knows what it is.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course it does, but it's just so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. It's also deeply cynical. Like, and you hear it again, like Kevin Smith reinforces that whole theme in the episode, where it's like, you can tell he just fucking hates people so much, and he puts that in the movie, but he does it in a way. I mean, I guess he's always kind of done that, because even in Clerks, you're seeing like every customer maybe not every customer, but you're seeing it from the perspective of what are the names who run
Randall and Dante.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like that's basically Kevin's POV of society, and he plays with that a lot. And this is
even in Clerks, he says this job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
Do you think that's a little bit why he made Wallace so easily hateable?
I think so.
Like,
yeah, that's a good question.
He didn't want anyone to feel sorry for him, really. He didn't.
Yeah,
right.
I don't think he was. I don't think this was the kind of movie where he was like, I want people to feel conflicted, or, you know, we were talking about nuance earlier. I don't think he wanted it.
Yeah,
because it is just. I mean, literally down to the name of their podcast.
Yeah,
is like, no, like these people have no. If they have self-awareness, there's no self-criticism or deprecation or anything. It's just like, it's very selfish. Which makes it very, hateable.
Yeah. Yeah. He is truly despicable.
Yeah. Like the only real like humanity we get from Wallace is through Allison, and it's the way she sees him. And even she is struggling to, you know, find the humanity in him.
Well, yeah, she's only talking about the old Wallace.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I felt more sorry at moments in the filming about Howard than I did. So I felt worse for the psychopath than I did for the victim.
He cared
never
more
happened in horror.
He cared more about the walrus that he lost than Wallace cared about his girlfriend.
Yeah. Or anyone else.
Yeah. Anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, because Howard like was broken down. I mean, they literally even open up with him that he was a soldier. He was doing something that is on paper, you know, just like it's like a selfless act to fight for something bigger than yourself. So like we're kind of painting this picture of him as someone who, and then he's lost at sea, and I'm sure I'll muddle the whole backstory a little bit because my brain was struggling. I was like, what am I watching? But yeah, the fact that he even found humanity or like a sense of humanity, I guess, in his relationship with a non-human, like with an animal, with
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah,
To Don's point, it's
I
like
was
it's a
I
good
was
point.
Team Howard up until he ate the walrus.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, you clearly didn't love it that much.
Yeah,
please.
the most human. That is like the most human thing he could have done from Kevin Smith's like cynical like perspective. Is
Oh yeah.
Destroy what you love.
yeah, because you need to survive. It's like, well, do you need to survive like more than this? Yeah. All right, so there
Yeah.
is an interesting conversation to be had about humanity from this movie. It's just not. I guess Wallace having humanity, I guess, adds to that conversation. But
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah.
all right, Kevin Smith, we see you.
Well, let's see. I'm going to read real quickly. I'm going to read a little bit of the actual ad that was on Gumtree from June 11th, 2013. I am looking for a lodger in my house. I have had a long and interesting life and have now chosen Brighton as a location for my retirement. There's a few more niceties, I guess. And then it says, I now find myself in a large house overlooking Queen's Park and am keen to get a lodger. This is a position I am prepared to offer for free on the fulfillment of some conditions. I have, over the last few months, been constructing a realistic walrus costume, which should fit most people of average proportions and allow for full and easy movement in character. To take on the position as my lodger, you must be prepared to wear the walrus suit for approximately 2 hours each day. Whilst in the walrus costume, you must be a walrus. There must be no speaking in a human voice, and any communication must entail making utterances in the voice of a walrus. I believe that there are recordings available on the web. To me, the voice is the most natural thing I have ever heard. Other duties will involve catching and eating fish and crabs that I will occasionally throw to you whilst being the walrus. Wow. So it goes on to say that, when you're not the walrus, you can do whatever you want, but for the 2 hours every day that you're in the walrus costume, that's what you're going to be.
That's so
I'm going to
crazy.
go out on a limb and say, going by English rent prices, for 2 hours a day of work to
Yeah.
cover your rent, I bet that advert got responses.
Yeah. So the man who
I am currently putting on a walrus suit right now, just in response to that ad.
So the man who made it, Chris Parkinson, like, again, I had mentioned earlier, it ended up being like a hoax. He just did it as a joke, but he got over 400 responses
That's hilarious.
to that
Wow.
ad. Can you
Wow.
believe that?
Talk about saying something about humanity.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
What's
wild.
money worth?
Cosplaying a walrus.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like the cosplay community is pretty big at that point. If you're in that world and you're looking to save some money.
Is it still a furry?
Oh yeah. So this calls back to a conversation we had recently on our Critters episode.
Yeah. If the animal you choose to be does not have fur, are you still considered a furry?
Yeah.
I don't remember where we got.
Or a slimy?
Yeah, I think we said I think we said a slicky.
A slicky? Did we say a slicky?
Yeah, a slicky. Oh my god.
Dear.
Okay, so with that being the setup of our whole movie that this whole thing is based on, what do you guys say we journey to the Great White North, head to Pippi Hill, and meet some fucking walruses?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go. So for Tusk, we have 6 official monster reveals. And if you are new to the show, a monster reveal is any time that the monster in the movie is revealed to us as an audience or to a character in the movie. And we sort of have 2 monsters going on here in this one. Wallace definitely fits into our real monster category, which we'll get to at the end. But we're going to start off with Wallace making it to Pippi Hill, and he is introduced to Howard Howe, and they enjoy a cup of tea. Now, at this point, like, even when Wallace gets into the house, he's such a prick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even just like the little things he's doing, like
just touching stuff.
Stuff. Yeah. And
I genuinely watched that and thought to myself, like, I can't imagine ever walking around someone's house and just picking their ornaments up off their fireplace.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that was, I thought it was very well written for you to hate him that much. Like, I'll just pick this up. What's this? And then mocking, not directly, but clearly mocking Howard.
Yep.
Like, he obviously saw him as a lesser than because he was in
100%
wheelchair.
Totally.
So, well, it goes back to them in the podcast that he hosts with Haley Joel Osment's character. Is the kind of bread and butter of their show, the focus and everything is sort of calling negative attention out to people, sort of like making them feel bad about themselves and then laughing at their expense.
Sure.
So it is very, there's also this kind of commentary on, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's a commentary, but the idea of like annoying Americans, they even when in the fact that they go to Canada, where Canada has this reputation for being very gentle and sweet. And the first thing, like one of his first interactions is with the two very Clerks-like characters, which are actually Johnny Depp's daughter, and I believe that's Kevin Smith's daughter. Yeah. Where they're just like, I fucking hate Americans, because he's doing every like stereotypically annoying Americanisms,
right?
Which just makes it even easier to
hate him,
to hate him, and to whatever the opposite is, to not sympathize with him.
Yeah, and the two clerks there that you said were Harley, which is Kevin Smith's daughter, and Lily Rose Depp, who was just in Nosferatu.
Oh, in Nosferatu, yeah.
They would reprise these roles a year later in Yoga Hosers. But that was part of his True North trilogy, was Tusk, Yoga Hosers, and now he is in, apparently, according to IMDb, he's in pre-production on Moose Jaws, which he describes as Jaws, but with a moose. And so I've been looking forward to that for years. But anyways, I wanted to point that out, that
sounds pretty funny.
That those clerks make a comeback in the next movie.
Okay.
But one of the things that I love about Wallace entering Pippi Hill, right, is as he's driving there, as soon as he pulls into the driveway, his GPS says, "You have arrived at your destination." And I just absolutely love that, because it's just like, this is it, buddy. This is, you're done. This is your destination. Point of no return.
That's not true. He ends up at the zoo thing.
Well,
the lovely zoo.
The Walrus does. I don't know. This is Wallace's destination.
I know.
But I just love that little detail that, you just hear, "You have arrived at your destination." And I get chills like when I see it. It's like, oh, fuck, you are done, man.
I love it.
But going back to the scene at hand, like you had talked about the fireplace, when like he steps up on the fireplace to reach the I'm just like, oh God, you're so rude. Like, what the fuck?
You're so rude.
This is such a dumb tangent, you guys, and I'm so sorry, but I had made notes. They kept showing Wallace urinating. There was like a couple scenes where they like focus on it. So I was like, okay. So I was like, Chekhov's bladder, kind of. I thought we were going somewhere. I was like, okay, he's going to be a walrus, so we're probably going to see something. And then they introduced, what was it called? The penis bone?
The baculum, I think.
Yeah. So when they did that, I was like, I wonder if there was a deleted scene where you see, because they keep building, there's just so much buildup that I thought they were going to pay it off, where you see him with that, maybe not that same bone that's on the wall. And I thought there was going to, I'm not saying this is like something I wanted to see or would be like something anyone wanted to see, but just in terms of like story building, I thought that's where we were going. Glad it didn't, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of kind of strange, and I wanted to highlight that.
Yeah.
Maybe in Moose Jaws we'll get a nod to that.
Yeah, maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, let's see here. Let's jump to our before we move on, I did like the mix of Kevin Smith's writing and Michael Parks's delivery is just this scene, like, it's just two dudes talking for like 15 minutes, but
yeah,
it's captivating. Like it doesn't, at least for me, like it didn't lose my attention. And he did the same thing in Red State. Like there is a super long monologue that Michael Parks has in Red State, and you just don't tune out. You're just like sucked into it because the writing is so good and his acting is so good, and it's awesome.
Well, you guys know I always have to fall asleep during the movies that we watch.
Oh God,
you fell asleep.
Tradition. So that is where I fell asleep.
Oh,
and then I woke up at the
that was what got me.
No, I fell asleep while they were talking.
Well, to be fair, he is trying to kind of lull him to sleep. He has like by that point has the drugs in his system, so he is kind of, in a sense,
it's working,
reading him a lullaby. Are those the only two movies that Michael Parks and Kevin Smith did together?
Yeah.
Do we know?
As far as I know, it was just Red State and this.
Is it sort of like Michael Parks, the surprising fit?
That is what the internet is saying.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say it's sort of like, it could be like the Robert De Niro to his Scorsese, but I guess Jason Mewes would fill that role.
Yeah. So while this next scene is not an official reveal, I did want to talk about the scene where he wakes up in the chair and Howard is talking to him about the spider and Dr. Moussier and all these things. And he looks down and he sees that his leg is gone. And it's just so cool. Like, I love the zooms in this movie, how they do a lot of zoom outs to do some cool reveals. And, he says, he just yells like, my leg is off. And I love that. But it's so ironic because he went there to Canada to make fun of a kid for cutting his leg off.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's the one who gets his leg cut off. And I just love the irony in that.
And this was the Kill Bill kid, which is another funny little connection to that is Michael Parks was in Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe he's the same character. Never know.
Yeah. He would, we find out later that he had some different personalities throughout his life. So
yeah, his story about his experience with the real life walrus is sort of like Kevin Smith's version of Quentin Tarantino's Christopher Walken monologue about the watch,
the pocket watch. Yeah,
the pocket watch.
Yeah,
there's a universe here, and it feels connected.
Well,
no, I'm not gonna do it, Casey. I'm not gonna do it. I don't have enough evidence to support a full on.
When do you ever?
When we
never have.
When we do a conspiracy theory of the week, it is sound. There are no holes.
Now, Danny, when we're watching this scene, I say Danny, any of you,
keep it on. Let's keep it on.
What the fuck was that about?
Well, I think I'm just going to Danny.
We have a guest here.
I know. That's why I stopped, Casey. Because Danny is so critical of this
Casey,
movie.
Shush. He's
We're
talking
talking about
to me,
Wallace being rude. We're talking about Wallace being rude. What'd you say, Danny?
I said, please stop. He's talking to me.
You know what, you guys? All right, this question is open to the room.
Everyone
so
but
much.
Danny.
Thank you.
Did anybody realize that he was polishing Wallace's leg bone in that scene?
No.
I don't even know what scene you're talking about.
No. I picked it up shortly after the scene. I was like,
okay,
how is he getting? Where did he get the tusks from? Because we hadn't actually found out that the original walrus had passed away. So we hadn't known that yet. So I was like, well, if he likes walruses so much, why does he have like tusks? And then I was like, that's probably his leg.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I have to say that's one of the most disturbing parts of it. Is they mention this later. Guy is. I kept thinking. All my notes were just Johnny Depp.
Guy Lapointe.
Because he mentions that specifically. Yeah, when he says they mention something about like they something on his leg bones, and like what did he need the bones for or something?
Yeah.
And then when your brain starts putting
Oh.
it together, I'm like, oh, I
Yeah,
don't know
because-
why
Yeah.
that little detail disturbed me the most.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he would
Did.
say that all the people that they found would have holes in their mouths, and then in one of them, in Gregory Gumtree, which is a nod to the to the site where they found the ad, that he found a piece of his tibia in the thing. Yeah.
This is like way off topic, but imagine how uncomfortable Justin Long was in this.
I know.
Oh, sure.
Oh my god, that had to have been so horrible.
can we
be
just
in
give a
that fucking
shout out
suit.
to Justin Long?
To be in that suit, how uncomfortable.
God.
Yeah.
It wasn't a suit. That was his body
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Casey.
and a
that
few other
bit.
people.
Yeah.
You're right, my bad.
Uh,
But that would have been a sweatbox.
oh yeah.
Oh my god, so just while I was watching it, I was trying to think about what his body looked like inside of there. Like, what position was
Yeah.
he in? Was he on all fours?
I don't know.
I'm guessing on his knees with his hands on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
horrible.
crouched.
It sounds horrible.
I actually got like a
Ouch.
little uncomfortable, and I'm sure it was very safe. But because knowing he's in like a suit, and then when he's in the water,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
talk about
yeah.
we were talking earlier about the lack of movement, and all that scared me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how safe it is. That's still
Ugh.
terrifying.
Well, when he's on the
Yeah.
table, when you first see him like sewing up his arms and stuff, and he's on the table. I was watching some behind the scenes, and Justin Long's arms are like this,
Yeah.
and they put like prosthetics over the thing so that he would be down. But it's still,
I don't like it.
his, you don't see his legs, but they're like clearly like
They're in the table.
like cut out. But yeah, even just having your arms pinned down to your sides with prosthetics on the sides,
yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
I just want to stretch my arms. Fuck
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
I
not
got
fun.
freaked out by the face that was on his back.
Oh
Oh.
yeah, part of the walrus suit that has the face on it. Yeah,
It was like a nod to Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something. Like,
Sure.
Totally.
like he was wearing. And first of all, I was like, "Is that his face that he's now just
Oh.
patched onto his back?" Because,
oh
but then you could kind of still see it was him.
yeah.
And then the other thing I questioned was, where did they get the whiskers?
Oh, see,
Yeah.
those are the questions that, again, it's the unknown, it's the mystery of it
Uh-huh.
that makes it more disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Wasn't-
Yeah.
wasn't
Where
nice.
did they get the whiskers?
Yeah, his nose is different, so there's like different other people's stuff on his face, and oh my god.
And there's a lot to bulk up. He made from a pretty average size shaped man.
hmm
He turned him into a
Yeah.
370-pound walrus.
Yeah, I wonder
Yep.
what else is in that with him.
That's a lot of packing.
Yeah.
Just shoving it in there.
That mackerel's very fattening.
Uh-huh. Well,
Just a lot of mackerel.
we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because our second official reveal is actually
This movie's
the-
getting ahead of itself, Zach.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We can't
Yeah.
help ourselves.
our second official reveal is actually when Wallace finds out that he's fucked, because it's the dinner scene where he now realizes that he doesn't have a leg. He's still like coming to his senses from just being drugged, and
Yeah, there are still seeds of doubt. Like maybe
right.
maybe Howard is telling the truth and there really was a spider, and it might be too hard to believe, but maybe it is true.
Wallace says something like, "There really wasn't a spider, was there?" And then Howard goes into his voice that he did of Moussier, that kind of like, I don't know, Guy Lapointe calls him a simpleton later in the movie, so I don't know how else to describe it, but and he does the itsy bitsy spider thing, and then Wallace is just like, "Oh my god, this is really happening. This guy is fucked. I'm done." And then he starts
You are
screaming.
truly
and-
a mad scientist.
Yep. And Howard gets up from his chair and walks over to him, and it's just like, oh, because at this point we don't know that he can stand up. Even as an audience member, we've only seen him in his chair, and it's just, it's so like it's chilling.
Speaking of,
I think it's chilling.
Don mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It reminds me when you get specifically in the remake, because in the original one, the villains kind of present themselves as villainous and quote unquote crazy even earlier. But in the like with the sheriff and the family in the remake, that's the thing that's coming to mind is that turn where you're like, oh, I'm not only not safe, I'm with people who aren't like there. You know, like my idea of like what a normal human interaction should be like, those rules have gone out the window.
Yeah.
That is what's scary. That's the unknown. Because then it's like now they can, who knows? Like it's so unpredictable at that point. Like we have no idea where this is going.
Right. And Walrus starts. God, I keep calling him fucking Walrus.
I think that was the point.
Just call him Walrus. I think he wants to be called. I think Howard would want that.
This is where we kind of find out that Allie and Teddy are together, because there's like this whole thing with the phone calls, and we get Genesis Rodriguez's great monologue where she's looking right into the camera, and we find out that her and Teddy kind of have a relationship because, I don't know, like she knows that Wallace is cheating on her with all these people, and it's just the whole thing.
I thought that was really because it villainized the co-host, didn't it? Like he was he was almost sending Wallace away to go to because he never left. That was the whole point of the podcast. It's like, no, you go explore and leave me alone with your girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah.
That seemed like it was a big.
But again, we still don't care.
No, we don't. No, valid point.
We don't care about Wallace.
Yeah, they build up Wallace so much as being like a despicable person that you almost don't care that Teddy and Allie are doing the same thing. They're
Teddy is presented as kind of like the savior character, like come, like I'll take care of you, I'll rescue you from this horrible man.
Was it a shock to any of you that she was sleeping with him at the reveal? Like I kind of just assumed it was him in the bedroom before he walked in. I thought, that was supposed to be the reveal.
Yeah,
but I was like, but I was thinking it was him anyway.
Yeah.
I thought at that point it was pretty clear that her relationship with Wallace was so broken, and Teddy seemed you could see it like in his performance, I guess, like there was something going on.
Yeah. And like, his hand comes into frame and like he puts his hand on the side of her face, and then it cuts to Teddy laughing in the podcast scene where they're doing the thing. And
you always tell us, Zach, you always say like you could tell Haley Joel Osment's hand like in a crowd any day.
So
like,
here's the thing though, for real, like I know you're making a joke, but that is very obviously his hand. Like I know that that's a joke, but like for real though. Yeah, it's very obviously Haley Joel Osment's hand.
Yeah. That's funny.
Spoiler alert, they had a hand actor for it.
It wasn't his hand.
No, like in Forrest Gump when he walks into the room when his son, well, spoiler alert, his son is watching the show. Before you don't even see his face. You just see the back of his head. But Zach points out, he's like, oh, that's Haley Joel Osment's hand right there.
Spoiler alert for all the people who haven't seen Forrest Gump. Yeah. A 28-year-old movie.
But yeah, I don't remember, like when I saw it for the first time, I don't know if I picked up on it when it cuts right to him doing the podcast and then they're talking about cheating while they're playing foosball, or if it was revealed to me like when he goes in to brush his teeth like later in the bathroom. I can't remember my first reaction when I saw it. But
is it common in the US to have plug sockets in your bathroom?
Oh yeah, we've got.
Yeah, where do you plug in your blow dryer, bro?
The bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
Oh really? Oh yeah, we have.
We have like sometimes we have a 2-prong low voltage socket in our like vanity mirrors.
Okay.
That would allow for like an electric razor.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing. There's no way you'd get a full powered appliance plugged into a bathroom in the UK.
No, we put our toasters in there to put in the bathroom.
Yeah, I was going to say, the last bath bomb.
How is Chucky going to kill Tiffany in Bride of Chucky?
Yeah.
An extension cord.
Yeah,
exactly. You got to work extra hard. You got to make sure you really want it.
I remember thinking, why are they charging their phones in the bathroom?
Yeah, I don't know why they were doing that, but yeah, we have outlets.
Oh yeah, it's common here, and like they're supposed to be like, I don't think they all are, but they're supposed to be like regulated where it's like the plugs in the bathroom have like a like a fail-safe thing that they'll cut off if they get water in them. It has like a little switch.
Circuit breaker,
Circuit breaker, yeah. I think in older buildings and stuff that they're just regular plugs, but
they're mostly there in the bathroom for people who are using the bathroom, need their phone, but forgot to charge it all day and need to charge it whilst using the bathroom.
But our third reveal is great because it goes from you finding out that Wallace is such a piece of shit and the cheating and all this stuff, and then we get to see that like Walrus. I'm gonna keep doing that.
I love
Wallace,
that you're genuinely not like you're not trying to do a bit.
No, I'm not. It's just my brain. Wallace is full walrus now. He hasn't gone there mentally, but he's fucked. He's in the suit.
This is where I was confounded. Why would he not? I get it. Like we're programmed to not want to die. Like, so we're gonna prevent ourselves.
Why
would he not like just let himself drown at that point?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like he's literally, it just seems so like the whole movie, I guess. I mean, spoiler alert for the ending, they keep him alive. It's just like, let him die. Yeah. He's gone. Like,
I almost fucking drowned myself before I ate that fucking fish.
Yeah. Like this is we're literally using this as the third intro because we're reintroducing Wallace. You're fucking making me do it now. You're reintroducing Wallace as a walrus, so he really isn't human anymore. So
I think I would at least have let myself starve.
Yeah.
Then eat that little fish.
Right.
It wasn't even little. That's a bad. It was a massive fish.
Yeah.
And now you've got tusks making it more difficult to eat said fish.
Yeah, it was. I don't. Yeah. It was very strange.
I'd be like, oh, do you know what? I'm not hungry.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
He just waddles over and just like swipes it off into the water.
Yep.
Nope.
I'm intermittently fasting. Sorry.
Yeah, there was no resistance. He just kind of embraces it. Like I guess there's some resistance, but 5 minutes maybe, and then he's like, all right, may as well. When in Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that resistance was like me turning down cheesecake first and then changing my mind.
You know what? Actually,
I really shouldn't.
Okay. Let me just get my tusks out the way.
Man, now I want cheesecake.
Oh God. Well, now Allie and Teddy are on the hunt for Wallace. They realize he's in trouble. They go over to the UK and first they meet a detective played by Ralph Garman, who is just so funny. Did I say they go to the UK?
You did.
Yeah.
No, they go to Canada. If you guys follow Kevin Smith's podcast at all, him and Kevin Smith did a podcast called Hollywood Babylon. It was him and Ralph Garman. And so a funny thing, his ringtone, Wallace's ringtone, that they play throughout the movie, that is actually Ralph Garman from an episode of Hollywood Babylon doing an impersonation of Al Pacino asking for margaritas.
Really? How niche.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
I thought it was the theme tune to their podcast. And that's why they both had that as the ringtone.
Oh, sure. That would totally make sense.
I was like, that must be because both their phones rang with the same tune.
Right.
So I was like, perhaps they're just really quite vain and
really into their podcast.
That song? Well,
let me tell you.
Hey, that's a good idea.
The opening for the How I Met Your Monster podcast.
That's a good idea.
Casey's goes into her phone and changes it right now.
You know I don't know how to fucking do that. Yeah. You know you'd have to do that for me. I've got no clue.
That's funny. But I just thought that was a fun little filmmaking, like, a little nod in there to. It's all about podcasters and this and that. He puts a little bit from one of his own podcasts in there.
Silly.
But ultimately they meet Guy Lapointe, and when I saw this in the theater, that big push in as he's giving his first introduction, I was like, I know this actor. I'm like, who is this guy? And it took me like a good 5 minutes to figure out that it was fucking Johnny Depp.
That's so funny.
I had an interesting one, and it was it's Michael Parks that plays Howard, isn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the first 20 minutes of him being on screen, I thought, have you guys seen Snatch? It's like a British film.
Oh
yes.
Yeah, the Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah. Do you remember the chap called Bricktop? He was like, do you know what Nemesis means?
Yeah.
That I thought that was who was playing Howard.
Okay.
And
I can see that.
I was like, how is he seems to have got younger to play this part.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's almost, and I was like, he does a really good like US accent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
He was the guy in Snatch. He was the guy that like fed the people to the pigs, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. He's basically he's just one of the most sinister British gangstery type people you could get.
Okay.
He was.
So it would be fitting that he would play the most sinister Canadian psychopath. Yeah. Yeah. My brain broke a few times in this movie, and one of the final moments of breakage was the Johnny. I had no idea he was in this movie, and there was like a weird
And did it like when he came on screen? Did you say, "Oh, that's Johnny Depp," or did it take you a minute?
I don't know. I think I recognized him.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I knew he was. I know he's kind of putting on a voice, and he looks a little different, but
yeah,
I don't know. I don't.
Well, it's funny, you know.
I think my brain was so slowly digesting the movie in general that like registering whether or not it was Johnny Depp was part of that like slow process. So I guess technically no, it didn't come immediately.
Well, you know, like it's funny because Kevin Smith has worked with like some top-notch talent, right? And the reason he got Johnny Depp to agree to this, their kids went to school together. Harley and Lily Rose Depp went to school together, and that's how he met Johnny Depp, because their kids went to the same school. And apparently Johnny Depp agreed to do this if he could do the voice and wear that nose prosthetic, which they thought looked like a penis, which in Yoga Hosers is even more pronounced in the segment when he replies.
I didn't know it looked like a penis. No,
yeah, we're Googling that.
Yeah. That's the second penis nose that I can think of in a movie. The other one being Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, Nothing But Trouble. Yep.
Nothing but trouble.
Nothing but trouble.
But yeah, if you look at his character in Yoga Hosers, it's like even more so penis like.
I don't see it. I just see nose.
I don't know what kind of dicks you're looking at.
But yeah, this is Guy Lapointe, and he, you know, is telling us that he has been searching for Howard Howe for years, and it even got him kicked off the force because he's so like obsessed with finding this serial killer. And this is our, what are we on, number 4? This is our 4th reveal. It is a flashback where Guy Lapointe actually meets Howard Howe, but Howard was putting on Howard Howe could be also an alter ego, but persona. Yeah. But this was what was his name?
And Howard in this scene, he tells Guy that humans are not like animals. He says humans are animals. So the seeds are being planted, and Guy's suspicions are.
And he's also talks about the brown recluse. The same spider is in his toilet as what bit Wallace's leg.
Right.
Walrus.
Right. Oh, Walrus. Yeah.
But it was the same brown recluse spider. I don't know if that's the only spider they could think of at the time, but that's what was in the toilet.
I live in San Francisco, and someone had mentioned that brown recluses are, I don't know if they're like running rampant, but they're around here, and every time I see a spider, I don't let you live.
We have them
here.
Hurt
you, but
they're pretty prominent here in Oklahoma too.
We have no deadly things here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just like the most dangerous thing we have, probably like deer during rutting season.
Just sure.
By the way, the deer have machine guns, so
they do.
That's what makes them so dangerous.
They're big on knife crime.
Heavily armored deer.
Yeah, and foxes. That's like the wild things that live around here. And the foxes are a little bit bigger than a cat. And just
you have the most adorable enemies in your area.
Yeah,
so sweet.
So we don't have dangerous spiders really, or anything fun.
Yet.
No, it's good. You're good.
Let's see here. Oh yeah. I love Guy's like his whole attitude towards he's so like taken aback that this guy wants him to kill a spider. And he's like, I'm not authorized to shoot a bug. it's so funny. But one of my, speaking of funny lines from Johnny Depp's character, one of my favorite lines in this movie is when he's telling the story to Teddy and Allie, and he's like, come closer. Can you come closer? And they're not doing it. And he finally just like, can you come closer? Please, like, come on. Oh, it's so funny. But
his character wears like, obviously he's French, but he's got like he wears the beret and everything. He's like, he might as well have had a baguette.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like, it's such a caricature. It's so ridiculous and over the top.
They start to work with Guy Lapointe to go find Walrus.
Well, at
this point, he's Walrus, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just Walrus.
Yeah, he's Walrus.
Mr. Tusk.
We got there.
And so they take a trip to find him, and this is our fifth reveal. This is the big walrus fight. Oh, before we get to the walrus fight, Danny, you were talking about like the baculum and the peeing and all this stuff. This is the first time.
Let's bring it back. Let's keep talking about it.
This is the first time that watching this movie last night, this is the first time that I thought, is he doing something? Because he pushes him down into the water. We find out that Howard Howe is naked. And then when he comes back up, his head had been like pushed into his suit and he has to like wiggle it out.
Yeah.
Did he like do something down there?
Zach, if you don't think this man fucked this walrus before he ate him on that rock, you are out of your mind.
But they did say that Howard never did anything like that to the whole way through. Was like, no, they called him. What did they call him? Oh, they called him something because like he did.
Like he didn't desecrate them.
He says they called him the first wife.
But here's the thing:
the first wife,
because he doesn't let you do anything and they never fuck you. It's funnier if you've been married a few times.
He didn't do anything to them because they were still human.
Oh, that's a good point.
He wanted to fuck a walrus, y'all.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow, it's all coming together.
But Zach, what was your? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just wanted. And you don't have to clarify this. What was the connection you were making between the penis bone and his head kind of like deflating into his?
Because
suit?
I'll just say it.
Was he face fucking him? Danny?
Yeah, he said. Did he put him under the water and stick his fucking Howard Howe cock into fucking Walrus's fucking face? His baculum into Wally's face.
How did I not put that together?
How did you not put that together?
Clear as day.
So I don't know. This is the first time I was like, "Oh shit, did he do that?" I've seen this movie like fucking 10 times, and I was like, "Did he fucking just?"
I feel like he would have, but there was the threat of being bitten, so maybe that was like not the.
Maybe
safest.
that's what he wanted.
I don't think. True. This man talked about how much he loved this walrus that he was stranded with. You guys don't think he was having sex with it?
The whole situation reads like a kink, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah,
making
totally.
Someone dress up as something for you.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we did mention on our Critters 2 episode that just because you are a furry or a slicky or a slimy, you're not necessarily doing it for sex. But for someone like Howard, I would argue that there is a possibility that is part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Howard.
Oh, Howard Howe. Howard, how could you do that?
How could you?
But here is our fifth reveal. This is the walrus fight. And it is played to the tune of the song Tusk by Fleetwood Mac. And
we're including this because he is now kind of owned the fact. He's accepted his identity as a walrus.
Yeah, because Howard,
even though we've met the walrus version, we're meeting the walrus.
Right. This is Wallace going full walrus. Yeah.
Okay.
Howard now that he has finally fucked this walrus, he wants to fight him, I guess. So he has like his own suit, which means he has more skin from other people that he wow, that's a lot of skin. But he makes his own suit, and he's got tusks, and he says, "We're gonna fight." And
that was the tagline for this movie, Tusk. It's a lot of skin.
It's a lot of skin. And I don't want to say for sure because I didn't do the research on this, but if memory serves me right, Kevin Smith had one time said that they spent like a quarter of their budget for this movie to get the rights to this song to use.
Wow. It's important
Tusk
to him.
by Fleetwood Mac. Again, don't fully quote me on that because I'm not positive, but I remember they spent a lot of money to get this song. And I just love you say it's a wacky movie and it's goofy and weird. And this is for me where it finally got just like the two walruses fighting to this almost like
this is where the
song.
movie gets weird.
Yeah, I just loved it.
Do you think they just had lots of money left over from filming? They thought, we've got quite a bit of money left in the pot.
Yeah. What are we going to
do? Do we go for this song?
Spend it on a song.
It was a might as well kind of moment.
But you get some cool stuff with Guy Lapointe and Teddy and Allie like running through the house in the woods, and they've got their guns and they're fucking the I talked about the zooms earlier, but it's like the zoom in and out as they're going through, and it just seemed almost like a 70s kind of movie.
From a storytelling perspective, because in most cases you would think that the audience would at least have like some sense of possibility of hope for Wallace, for like these people rescuing him, that maybe there's a chance they can actually physically rescue him and get the Wallace that they know back. But we know he's already transformed. So it's sort of like this like exercise in futility, kind of like we're watching them do this whole chase scene, and there are stakes, but it's more like the stakes are is this trio going to be okay going into like the monster's lair, so to speak? Because at this point it's like, yeah, and Wallace is a walrus now. Like you're gonna we're like waiting for that discovery moment,
right?
Which I just thought was interesting because it felt like a classic climax for a horror movie, kind of like turned on its head a little bit.
Yeah, because like you're watching them race to Wallace as they're fighting, and it's almost like, can they save him? But you know that there's no saving him because he's just fucking gone. And so I guess you're just rooting for him to win the fight, I guess, against Howard.
And then Howard cheats.
Yeah, he rips out of his fucking
what was that
suit.
About? I had respect for Howard, and then
until that moment,
and then he cheated the fight. And it's not like Wallace was in premium condition. He'd had multiple operations relatively recently, and had no legs, and you still had to cheat.
Yeah, Howard not only had the upper hand, he was the only one with hands.
I forgot that he has no legs in that suit.
It saddened me.
Yeah, I agree. Howard's a real piece of shit, and you don't realize it until
you realize that Howard now like doesn't even believe his own philosophy that man is a walrus at heart, because he's like, I'm in this walrus, and he's like, fuck, I can't not be a man, and so he rips out of it. And
well, there's that futility again, is like he even can't, he's still man at the end of the day, like he can't help himself. He is the true monster.
God damn. Tusk makes you think. This movie really makes you think, doesn't it?
Makes you think about a lot of stuff. Makes you think about a lot of stuff you don't want to ever think about, or never thought, or never even considered you'd ever think about.
They also recognized Wallace really quickly.
They did.
Yeah. I was wondering that too. I thought they were going to come in and it was going to be like, oh shit, monster, kill it quick. And it was going to be very reactive.
Right.
No, it was just
it was, oh shit, Wallace.
Yeah. Not like, what the fuck is this skin suit thing, walrus looking motherfucker? What the hell?
And I think you would initially try and peel him out.
Yeah.
Thinking he was just in it. And he can't say, don't do that, because he's got no tongue.
Yep.
Oh, see, that's a great idea. Like cutting him open, like pulling at the stitches only to see the flesh underneath.
Or the packing material.
Or the packing material. Yeah, it makes you think like what was in that, because I never even thought about God, Don, I'm glad you're on this episode because you really got me thinking about some plot holes in this movie.
Sorry.
No. It's like damn, like yeah, like what was in that suit? Like, did he pack it with? Was it like more flesh from other people, or was it like?
Or put a hose in it.
Put a hose in it filled with water.
Even if it wasn't like organic material, that still is disturbing because you're like even less
Packing
human.
peanuts.
You're like now artificial and packing peanuts. Like little things. I don't want to get too hung up on like, oh, if only they had done this. But even if they wanted to heighten the horror elements, like we were talking earlier about how like, he can't talk anymore. Imagine how fucked up it would have been to have seen the scene where Howard like removes like or cuts his vocal cords or something, or like cuts out his tongue or like stuff like that to like remind you like we're laughing at how insane this is, but also this is truly like a horror movie.
Yeah. And now we're on our, we had just briefly mentioned it. This is our 6th and final reveal, is where Teddy and Allie and Guy finally see Walrus Wallace. And they see the monster that he has become, inevitably, because he was always kind of a monster.
And rescuing him would have been killing him, but they do a more traditional rescue.
Yep, and they put him in a fucking zoo, which
prison him.
Worst enclosure.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh my god. Yeah, I would have rather stayed.
He's not
in
a real
fucking...
walrus, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I don't. My brain struggled.
He just had big gulp cups everywhere.
But they also fed him fish. Like I don't think he wants the fish.
I mean, he ate it.
He did. That's how they got him out of the cave.
Full walrus.
Who would you call for the to report the maltreatment?
Yeah.
Would that be like
exactly.
animal control
welfare or
yeah?
Maybe that's why no one steps in, because no one has any
not my jurisdiction.
What do you call it?
Yeah.
Jurisdiction, yeah.
Well, yeah, was someone like running that part? Was that like an abandoned building? Was someone like was it still a thing? Like what the fuck? And almost like Howard was more
also
like decent to him than they are. They put him in this little cage.
I was gonna say, why did he have to be in an enclosure?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why did they not kill him?
He's not a walrus.
Well, yeah, they should have left him in fucking Howard's thing. They had like noises and an atmosphere, right?
I would also, it's worth arguing that given like modern technology, and I'm sure it would have been expensive, but maybe they could have like scaled back the walrusisms a little bit,
yeah.
They
and
could have
like
done something.
he would have maybe been in a, unable to walk and all that, but like something like take
because here's the thing,
leg bones
the
out,
walrus,
the tibias out of his mouth. Jesus,
he was within the walrus suit.
Uh-huh.
The walrus suit was built around him.
Yeah,
which means that his skin is not the outer part of the walrus suit. So his skin and his body is still within that walrus suit somewhere.
So he is walrus-ish because of his hands and legs, but that's about it.
Right. They could have cut it open and got all the packing peanuts out of it and probably
that's what I'm thinking.
Pulled them out.
Yeah, you got flippers for the rest of your life, but it's better than being in a skin bag.
Yeah, and like he didn't have a tongue, but he didn't have to go all the time.
This is the one time I'll ever say, like, thank God for artificial intelligence, because they could have I've seen AI technology used for people who have trouble speaking or can't speak, and they were able to create a kind of artificial voice for them.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a future for
I think
Wallace in this world.
There's that whole thing where
no one's embracing.
I think you are led to believe that he is gone full walrus, right?
He's a goner.
However, it ends.
Yeah, they offered him these options. He said no.
However, it ends with him shedding a tear, which he had said earlier that like he doesn't cry. Crying's for babies, right?
And animals can't cry either.
And
they said that's the thing that separates us,
right? And Allie's whole thing about her grandpa said, "No, it's good to cry. It's what separates us from the animals." And and then we finally see Walrus. Jesus, just. He sheds a tear.
Whatever his name is, we will accept. Yeah.
Whatever his name is, he sheds a tear at the end.
Whatever this abomination is, he sheds a tear.
And,
did you guys notice the beach ball? just floating around in that paddock.
Of course, for fun.
He needs some form of entertainment.
For fun.
Give him a TV at the very least.
I want to see him play with that beach ball. Yeah.
Honestly, I think it would have been really funny if they would have shown him just having a great time.
Yeah.
Totally.
As a walrus.
Well, they kind of, in the podcast, in the pitch, they kind of mentioned that where he's more embracing. I think that they had dialed back on that a little bit to make it a little more disturbing.
Yeah.
The movie.
Yeah.
But I did wonder, do you think they don't put him out of his misery because Allison and Teddy like secretly hate Wallace? So they're sort of punishing him?
I don't think so.
Dang. I don't know.
No, I think that they're just very sad.
Yeah.
They could have got him a female walrus.
They could have.
Yeah.
Exactly. There are
that's a good
sequel.
Idea. Tusk 2, the mating.
I mean, I know we keep talking about Moose Jaws, and you had mentioned that the two clerks from this movie were in Yoga Hosers, and did you say they're coming back for Moose Jaws?
That I do not know.
Okay, I was gonna say if there is a character through lines, I feel like Kevin Smith is at the very least talking to Justin Long to say, like, can we get one shot of you or some reference to you?
Well, okay, so according to IMDb, there are 5 cast members for Moose Jaws. Kevin Smith, Genesis Rodriguez, who plays Allie in this movie. There's no characters listed, it's just actors. So Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. So I'm assuming Jay and Silent Bob will make an appearance in Moose Jaws.
Fun.
Harley Quinn Smith, who plays, one of the clerks that we said. And then Harley Morenstein, who was Epic Mealtime guy who, we skipped over his little scene in this movie. But he played the border agent when Wallace goes to Canada, and he's got a great.
Maybe we'll put a link to
cameo.
that in the show notes too.
Yeah, he was on Epic Mealtime, which was a YouTube show. But
what if Moose Jaws is just takes place like minutes after this movie ends, and Allison is driving back, and a moose just comes in, it just crashes into the car. Teddy's dead. That's why he's not in the cast. Maybe he's killed off screen. Yeah. And it's just her finding Jane Silent Bob and then
to go help,
contending with fighting against this giant moose.
That would be wild. But from like a filmmaking standpoint, one of the things I love is the resourcefulness of these low budget movies. Because like that airport scene where he's like going through border patrol, whatever, was just in like a hotel conference room.
Yeah.
And they just put some stuff on the walls and shot it in a certain way where it's like, I mean, it's not like a super detailed scene, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, I never picked up on that. My brain just assumed he was going through customs and didn't think about it. But yeah, it's just in a conference room that they just decked out in like a freaking Canadian flag, and that's it. I thought that was fun. And guys, that's it. That's Tusk. That's our 6 official reveals for Tusk. And now it's time to choose our favorite official reveal in Kevin Smith's Tusk.
What's going on here? I don't see anything anywhere. That's how they get you. They're under the goddamn ground.
Here we go. I'm going to do a speed round recap of our official reveals, and I do have some titles for these. So here we go.
Oh, great.
Our first official reveal: Wallace pops his tea cherry. He is drinking the tea, and he says,
because I see.
Yeah. And so that's the first time that we find out that Howard Howe is a bad guy.
And then tea pops him back.
Number 2 is the Itsy Bitsy Spider. I do love when he goes into that whole thing. It's so creepy, and it's just like, and then he stands up, and he's like, even when he's like yelling back, fucking Wallace is just like screaming for his life, and Howard starts screaming back too, and you realize that like, fuck, nobody's gonna hear you, right?
Yeah.
And in in my attempt to insert Pee Wee Herman into any episode that we do, I'm gonna succeed in this, because it's almost like when he goes to to Francis's house, and he says, "Go ahead and scream your head off. We're miles from where anyone can hear you." They're just in the fucking bathroom.
In Canada, no one can hear you scream.
In Canada, no one can hear you scream. Number 3 is Better to Be a Walrus. We find out that Wally has now been enclosed in this walrus
Wally?
suit. Yeah, I'm just going to go with Wally because it's right in the middle.
Wally's good.
Almost by the end of this episode, I have figured out that just saying Wally is good. So yeah, that was number 3, Better to Be a Walrus. Number 4, Gregory Gumtree and his Poutini Weenie. This is when Guy Lapointe goes
Once
back
again, Zach, you are fired.
and meets Howard for the first time, but he doesn't realize it. But they do talk about poutine and that it just gives him the worst shits. So number 5 is simply titled Tusk because we've got the song Tusk. We're in our walrus fight. And then number 6, Allie, Teddy, and Guy meet the new Wallace because according to Allie, she was in love with old Wallace. She doesn't like new Wallace, but now there is a new Wallace. Those are our 6 official reveals for Tusk. Casey, let's start with you. What is your favorite reveal in Tusk?
I don't really have a reason why, but it's the Tusk one with the song and the fighting.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that might be
Pretty
my favorite
iconic
scene in the movie. I loved it.
Yeah.
Don, do you have a favorite reveal?
I think mine would have to be the Incy Wincy spider scene. I can't remember the title you'd given the section.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I think
Itsy Bitsy Spider. Yep,
that was the scariest part of the film. Was to see the insanity of the chap.
Yeah,
but the mimicking him scream and stuff. I think that's quite a terrifying concept. That no matter how much you were to shout, you are out of reach of help.
Yeah.
And someone demonstrating that, look, I can do it too, and I'm not scared of you screaming.
Yeah.
I think if I was screaming and someone else that was my captor did the same thing, screamed at the same volume as me, I'd just stop. I'd be like, okay, I get it. That's dumb.
Give up.
Yeah. You know, Casey has mentioned sometimes on these shows where we talk about, we'll do a segment later called Would You Survive? Casey realizes that, sometimes her will to live isn't that great, so she would just give up.
No.
It's kind of like that where it's like, well,
hell no.
If he's screaming too and no one's going to just fucking take me, I'm done.
See, I would do the opposite. I'd keep screaming just to tire myself out and hopefully fall asleep sooner. And
okay, there you go.
Just get
so Casey would not have tried to swim.
No, fuck no. No, I'll talk about it even more in a minute here. We'll...
Yeah. But oh shit, I was gonna fucking say something. Don, you reminded me of something when you said that. Oh, that's what it was. In the scene where he meets him and he's telling him all the stories, he talks about being lost at sea, and he says like, I was terrified, and he's like, you probably have been scared in your lifetime, but you've never known true terror. And now he does. Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Bitch.
Danny, what is your favorite reveal in Tusk?
Mine, I was surprised by this. Mine's the same as Don's. It's the dinner table scene.
Okay.
The spider chat is when Wallace realizes, and I guess we realize how fucked up Howard is. Yeah. And it just goes back to, that's just my biggest fear. That's the reason, that's what scared me about this movie to begin with. It was less about body horror. It was more about losing your ability to, to have autonomy. That's just, I hate it. It just makes my skin crawl. My walrus skin crawl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I hate it. I love it. A great scene.
It's a really good scene.
Scary scene in the movie.
My favorite is our third reveal, Better to Be a Walrus. This is when we first see Wally in the walrus suit. And I remember seeing it in the theater. And I think for me, it had such like a impact on my in the world of horror and my return to horror and everything. And I was like, dude, seeing it in the theater, seeing him in that suit for the first time, it was just like so fucking wild. And I loved that this was just like just a simple like monster movie. You know, Casey, you had said earlier at the beginning of this, like there's not much to this movie. It's pretty straightforward. And I love it. It was just like a low budget, you know, Kevin Smith
Smith called it. I set this up earlier. I should pay it off now. Is he calls it a cuddlier version of the Human Centipede.
Okay. Yeah. But you know, he's built a career out of low budget filmmaking. And I love that this was just a low budget, straight up monster movie, creature feature. And, you know, after this, I started writing some stuff. Casey, you might remember I had like this little script that I wanted to do about like bird people, which was kind of weird, but
I think you told me about that too.
Remember.
But, you know, this has kind of sparked that. And, yeah, so that's my favorite reveal just because of the impact it had on me personally. All right, well, now it's time for a segment that we like to call The Real Monster.
Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. You're a monster. I'm not the monster here. You are. You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world. Now tell me, where are the others? Eat me!
I'm going to start us off because I don't have a real monster for this movie because I fucking love this movie. But I'm going to say that Wallace is the real monster because he's just so...
obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. You know, each time I watch this movie, like I find more and more reasons why he's such a piece of shit and that he deserves to be fucking in this walrus costume. So yeah, Wallace is my real monster. And if I was going to pick something else, I'd probably pick Guy Laplante for squishing his burger slider
like a pancake.
He puts it on the table on the fucking gross like fast food.
Yeah, how was that?
There was no paper underneath
and he
it.
fucking no, he puts it right.
There wasn't.
There was not. He takes it off of the tray or off of his thing, puts it on the
and you didn't
table,
have a real monster.
and he squishes it. Well, I'm realizing it right now.
So okay, so now we need.
And he squishes it.
So we've got the slider on the table,
the
half-eaten apple on the table, and the chocolate bunny on the floor.
Yep, that's my.
We need to really.
That's my real monster trifecta right there. That's my real monster trilogy. Is food on the floor or on a surface.
Men, Critters 2, and Tusk.
Danny, let's go to you. What's your real monster for Tusk?
I agreed. I have none. This was just like the kind of
you hated this movie. It's okay.
I didn't hate it. One is ringtones. We used to pay for them. Now we run from them.
Yep.
I feel like that's a lyric from a song. I used to run. Now I'm running. What's that song? It's an 80s song. Anyways.
I think I know what you're talking
for
about.
breaking. Right?
Yeah.
I used to. Yeah. Wallace for breaking urinal etiquette. Even though there is no one there, he pees in the middle. I know that the one was broken.
No, again,
still
just
not
a piece
supposed
of
to do
shit.
it.
Yeah.
He's awful. It's just like little things. Like you don't do that.
Yep.
Podcasters.
Yep.
We're monsters.
Yeah.
We just the bane of existence.
It's kind of like watching it and like seeing them. You know,
I know. I was like,
I haven't watched this movie
like
since we started this show, and so like
I do hate myself
watching them do that show. I was like, oh god, are we fucking cringe? Like, is this so bad?
I was like, I feel like we have some self-awareness and we're always like self-deprecating all that, but I'm sure Wallace thinks that too. Me specifically for being jealous that Wallace quote made $100,000 in ads alone. I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, I hate you. And then finally, the true real monster is Ernest Hemingway for inadvertently inspiring Howard.
Oh,
didn't mean to do it, but in terms of how we constitute a real monster on this podcast, got to go with Hemingway.
Damn you, Ernest.
Ernest.
Don, do you have any real monsters for Tusk?
I'll have to go with having outlets in a bathroom. That's not
American
okay.
bathrooms.
Yeah, sure.
That's not okay. And
I love it.
I would I would probably go with the special effects department for not making it clearer what the suit was packed with.
Gotcha.
We need answers.
Yeah.
We do need answers.
This isn't okay.
Yeah.
We need
My
answers.
brain needs to know what is in said suit.
Right.
I don't mind if it's blubber or
Yeah, we just need to know.
or packing peanuts.
Be anything.
Let me know what it is.
Yeah. Can you
That's-
imagine? Can you imagine?
Who would
what,
have thought
like,
that that's where the mystery comes from? Sorry, Jack.
Well, no, like what if like, you know, Howard puts him in this suit, but he doesn't pack it with anything. And so it's just like floppy,
Deflated?
like just the skin and the tail and everything is just like,
It's like we didn't
loose
get to the
and
final
soggy.
phase of your transformation.
Like the episode of Family Guy where Peter wishes he didn't have bones. He has a genie, and a guy's about to punch him, and he says, "I wish I'd have bones." And then,
Yeah,
It
it's all
becomes a
good.
towel.
yeah,
No, those are good. Those are good real monsters. Don, Casey, what do you got?
my first one is Wallace's will to live, because what the fuck?
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Give up. That's ridiculous. He wasn't full walrus yet. You know, he knows what it's full. He knows what the suit is full of. He knows what's in there.
Yeah,
you know,
Maybe
like,
that's what's keeping him alive.
oh, maybe.
Maybe
but,
there's like people in there. He's like, I can't kill myself because then they'll die.
And here's the thing: even after he's taken to this, wherever he ends up,
Enclosure.
Yeah.
you still want to live?
Yeah.
You just have big gulps and raw fish all the time. You're good.
I mean,
I don't know.
he's living.
I can't get down with it. So that's one. My second one is Howard Howe's lack of creativity when coming up with a name. I'm sorry, Mr. Tusk. No, his name was Wallace, which was already very close to Walrus. This man is going by Howard Howe. I don't know. Do something funny.
There's something there. Wally the Walrus and Howard the How.
I don't like people who name their animals, and sorry guys if you're any of these people, who name their animals things that have to do with, like, when cats have white paws and they name them mittens. Come on.
Hey, this is Mr. White Paws.
We want something a little more creative here. We want something a little more fun. Your cat is your pet, and they want to have a cool name.
Yeah.
Do you think people names is okay for your pets?
I'd let Bart and Archie are my cat's names. Yes, I love people names. For
My
animals.
dog is named after a town and a person's name.
Oh yeah.
So the town in Massachusetts, and it's a character actually from Fright Night, which I just watched the other night, Brewster.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I do. But those are my two. That's it.
Okay. Those are great.
Thanks.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Well, now it's time for our final segment. Would you survive Kevin Smith's Tusk?
And here we go.
Absolutely not.
No, you just you would just give up. You would
we
need
talk
that.
a lot about,
you would need that outlet in your bathroom to throw
I
the
sure
toaster.
fucking would. We need an outlet in the enclosure for the toaster.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing
yeah,
it.
his little thing needs an outlet.
Yeah.
We've talked about this on the podcast before, where it's like it's the point of entry for this. Like, what are we surviving? Would we survive if we were already walruses, or would we survive in the situation?
Yeah.
I'm not going to this man's house in the first
Well,
place.
That's the thing.
that's yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I made it there.
Yeah,
no.
I said I would survive because this interview would be over Zoom, and I just wouldn't. You know, like
Uh-huh.
I also just wouldn't pay for it. I'm assuming Howard, maybe Howard paid for the airfare, but yeah, I would just do this. I would do it the way we're doing this right now. This would be Zoom. So Don, if you had any intentions of turning me into a walrus, we stopped
Sorry.
you.
It's not my thing.
Okay.
You'd be a cat.
There you go.
Hell yeah. Hell
Is
yeah.
that, I keep hearing what I thought was a human purring in the background. I guess that makes sense. It all checks out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, Danny, I'm kind of with you and Casey as well. I don't think I would even go to the house. You know, the reason that he went to Canada in the first place was to make fun of that kid. And I don't think I would get that far. I don't typically like to make fun of people. But if I did end up in a walrus suit somehow, yeah, I think I would just either not eat the fish and just starve, or Don, do you think, how far would you get? Would you go to the interview?
Yeah, I think I'm the same as you guys in regards to I probably wouldn't end up going, but if I did, I certainly wouldn't be standing on his fireplace or playing with the walrus penis or just being rude in general. I'd be quite a nice guest. I've also got quite a high tolerance for like alcohol, so I think you would need a bigger cup of tea.
Yeah.
We drink tea anyway, so it wouldn't be a surprise. I'll be like, this tastes funny.
Yeah.
You would have your
I know
own
what
tea.
tea
You're like,
tastes
no,
like.
I'm not drinking your tea, some strangers.
I know what tea tastes like.
This isn't Earl Grey.
That's
Fucking
hilarious.
bitch.
So, but if for some reason I did manage to get drugged and I lost a leg, at that point, if I grew suspicious that he was the person who cut it off, I'm quite young and healthy. So I think even a one-legged me would do quite a good job of fighting off the aged man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think up until that point, but if all that went wrong, then yeah, I'd like his head retracted into the suit. I'd just do that until I suffocate. And
wiggle your way back in.
Yeah, I guess the equivalent of like a body foreskin.
Yeah.
They're like, how did he die? Like, he drowned in water? No, in himself.
In his neck
drowned
foreskin.
in his own body.
That's it. So yeah, I would give up hope, I think.
Oh god, that's funny.
Horror movie rule too: never drink tea in a stranger's house.
Yeah.
Get out.
That should have been in Scream, Joe, when he done the list.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
the horror movie rules.
Everyone's like, wow, what a niche. Everything has been really broad up until the tea reference. Randy's like, don't drink tea. Don't say I'll be. Wait, go back. Don't drink tea.
Don't drink tea.
Got it. All right.
The worst part of that is as well is, you know how he got the letter for the advert off the toilet wall. First of all, you wouldn't take something off of a toilet wall that was been on a toilet wall.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
And I don't know if anyone else noticed, but it had the tearing off tabs at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, and he just took the whole thing.
Yeah. He took the whole thing.
Howard should have fucking killed him right there and be like, dude, you fucking took my whole ad. Like, that's what the point of the little tabs
are. Very rude.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one final note. I don't know, like an idea, I guess. To kind of make it a little more full circle at the end is we were talking about kind of how like he exploits people and that's how he got himself into this mess in the first place. Kind of would have been fun if at the end it was treated more like a zoo where people, maybe like a underground dark webby zoo, like you have to know a guy to get to this thing, but for people to be kind of watching and laughing at him at his expense.
He's a spectacle.
Yeah, like it would have been a little fun. Not a big deal. It just popped in my head and I wanted to mention it before we close the book.
He certainly got what he deserved.
Yeah. Yeah, if there was like some other people there just kind of like laughing and pointing.
Are we the audience laughing at his expense? This movie was made for the audience, for
totally
podcasters. So
yeah,
I guess that in a way we got that.
Yep. That's it, you guys. That's Tusk. We finally did it. Danny, thank you for finally putting up the nerve to watch it. That was our first movie in our Mad Scientist triple feature. Casey, your movie is up next. What are we watching?
Oh, we are watching the 1996 Island of Dr. Moreau.
Awesome. Another animal fucking, like, I haven't seen it, but I know it's like experimenting with animals and putting people together, and the late great Val Kilmer, and I'm going to say the late Marlon Brando, because I think he was kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, Marlon Brando.
But yeah, I'm excited to see that. Don, have you ever seen The Island of Dr. Moreau?
I haven't. I'm going to have to watch it before I listen to the episode.
Sure.
So good.
Okay.
I should probably do the same.
You should probably what?
I didn't avoid again, it's not the kind of a movie that I avoided because of like my Tusk aversion and all that, but I just never felt the pull, but I'm actually kind of excited about it.
Yeah. I've always been curious, and I like that time frame, because that was like, if I'm not mistaken, that was like when Val Kilmer did what is it? The Lion in the Darkness? Is that what it is?
Oh yeah. No, the
Ghost in the Ghost in the Darkness.
Ghost in the Darkness.
With
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, about the lion in Africa, and that was a good movie. So
really
I like that time period. I'm excited to see it. Yeah, Dawn, can you remind our listeners about the title of your book and where they can find it?
Yep, sure. So it's Midnight Harvest. It's available on Amazon. You can buy a paperback. You can also get it on Kindle. It's available as an audiobook on Audible. It's exclusive to Audible. And like I said, it's a series of short stories that they all have a very, very different scare point. So if you're into like body horror, or if you're into, there's something for everyone when it comes to like reading it, and they're all very short. You could probably read each story within 20 minutes or so. It's bite-sized, and you can flip in a chapter or a short story between books if you just wanted something a little bit scary, a little bit creepy. There's nothing too scary about them, but they are make you feel very uneasy.
Awesome.
Oh, that's fun.
Awesome. Yeah, well, like I said, we'll put links to those to that book in the show notes, so you guys can check that out. Where can our listeners find you guys on social media if anybody wants to follow around?
So Instagram's probably the best place. I have got accounts in most of the social media, but I tend to just post onto Instagram and then share that with the other platforms, so it's not formatted very well for like Twitter or anything, or X as they call it now. But my Instagram is Don_Campbell_author.
Okay, awesome. Casey, what about you?
I am on Instagram at WolfMotherCasey.
All right, Danny, go ahead and embarrass yourself.
I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky at my name, Danny Salem. That's DANNYSALEMME. 2 M's like the candy, melt in your butt, not in your hands.
I just you say that every fucking time, and I was just listening to it, and I was just thinking of like the sheer ridiculousness of that.
Of somebody like Don, who has never heard it before, who's here as a guest.
Danny, if you had a time machine, you wouldn't go back and change
No, I'd say melt in your hands.
Go back to the first episode that you said that and keep your fucking mouth shut.
I was like, don't do it, stupid, don't do it.
And you can find me on social media at Zach Winsick. Make sure to follow How I Met Your Monster on your favorite podcast platform, and we'll see you again for The Island of Dr. Moreau. And thank you all for listening. Don, thank you for joining us. Good luck with the book. Good luck with future books. And we hope to have you on again sometime. And until that time, thank you all for listening. Now go meet some monsters.